everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are so excited today to have the director and star of the upcoming film Journey in My Heart on Hallmark Channel. And we have Lucie Guest, who's the director, and we have Rhiannon Fish, who's the lead actress. And we welcome you so much to both of you. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us.
Thank you for having us. We're very excited.
Yes.
Very excited.
Yeah, this is great. It's so neat to see dynamic, strong women that are creating films for Hallmark. And so congratulations on the film. And we're going to talk about it more. But first, we'd like to get a chance to get to know both of you and let us know kind of what inspired you. I know, Lucie, you do acting and directing, but for both of you, what inspired you to get into your fields that you're in to end up making this movie? What about you, Lucie, first?
Okay, I was like, Rhiannon, you want to go first? I started as an actor. I've always, that's sort of like my first love. And then when I was 18, I actually sent a like VHS tape to Steven Soderbergh to see if he'd mentor me. He like never got back to me, but I always knew if I wanted to direct one day. Like, so it's something that I've always like, for years, I've sort of like taken a lot of jobs that have sort of built up my basically learning on the job, like director's assistant, or and then I started writing and directing all of my own shorts and web series and music videos and things like that. And so yeah, I started with acting, and then I started writing characters, and I always knew I wanted to direct, and I started directing long form in the last two and a half years, like that.
Cool. What was the first film you directed?
The first like feature length film was a movie called Made for You with Love, which was really fun. It was a rom-com, and I absolutely love that movie still. And then the short film that sort of like opened all the doors for me was one that I wrote and directed. I was in it as well, but it was like, it's a little indie, you can watch it online. It's called Never Better, a closure comedy. And it's about a girl who's like trying to get over a breakup. Basically, I like went through a huge heartbreak, and I decided to like put it into film form so it could live on forever. So I could find closure. I was supposed to find closure with it. I don't know. I guess I found closure with it, but the movie's great.
That's quite the form of catharsis there.
Yeah. Yeah. He actually saw it years later, is what I found out. He actually messaged me. He's like, I saw this movie, and I was like, oh boy.
Did he like it?
Yeah, he said he liked it.
Oh,
so
good.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of The Last 5 Years on Broadway.
Oh yeah, the musical. I love that musical.
Yeah. But he wrote it all about his relationship and his breakup, and she ended up suing him after. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. But it was worth it. But Rhiannon, what about you? How did you end up becoming inspired to be an actress?
I've loved it, for as long as I can remember. I was very lucky. I started working when I was about 11 in Australia. And I've just really never loved anything as much as I love acting. Sorry if you can hear the leaf blower. But it brings me so much joy. It's wonderful. And one of the greatest things about this one in particular was working with Lucie, who is, as she mentioned, not only a director, but she's also a writer and an actor. So it meant that like the language she spoke to us just made sense. Like it was truly, in all my life, the best experience I have ever had working with another director.
This is the best thing for me right now.
Lucie's the best.
So how did you end up in Australia, and how come you don't have an accent?
Well, so very valid question. I was born in Canada, moved to Australia when I was about 4. And they sort of say that some children just never pick up an accent, or it can go either way. Like you can go, I'm sure we all have friends that have gone to the UK or Australia for a couple months, come back with an accent. For me, I just never lost my Canadian or American sort of accent.
Are you kind of bummed out by that? You're in Australia.
Totally. Yes and no. Of course, it's made work easier. It didn't when I was in Australia. When I wanted to work in Australia, I had to learn an Australian accent. But for here, it means that I can just sort of use my natural accent, which makes things easier.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what was your first role that you ever got as an actress on
I
film?
worked on a show there called Neighbors, which is still running. It's one of like the longest running soap operas, I think, ever. It's up there with like Days of Our Lives and stuff like that. I was just like, little kid, just I had a guest spot on there, but it lasted for a few years. And it was a wonderful place to be able to learn. And yeah, I'm very grateful for that experience.
Were you like super, super excited?
Oh, I
when you
was
got- yeah.
over the moon. And then like, my character turned bad and like started smoking. Like it was really fun. I loved it.
So then you ended up, now you're back in Canada?
Yes.
And so when did you end up going back to Canada, and what was that like?
Well, I lived in Australia for about 20 years, and then I did a little stint in LA. And a lot of people in our industry will probably say the same thing. LA's hard. And it's even harder now to get a visa over there. So as soon as my visa expired, I came here, and I really just had this overwhelming feeling when I landed in Vancouver that I was home. I love it here. The industry is just alone. There's so much work. And the people are really wonderful. It's a gorgeous place. Yeah, I love Vancouver.
I want to go there someday.
You
I've heard so much about
should.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Lucie, if you had to choose between acting and directing,
Whoa.
which would you pick?
I think my ultimate choice is doing both, to be honest, at the same, like that's the ultimate, because you have that creative control over the edit and things like that. Well, sort of, but I guess, I think it's really project dependent. I think some things I look at and I go, I really would rather direct this, and I'm glad I'm not acting in it. Like the movie, like this movie, Journey of My Heart, like I was watching Rhiannon going like, it was just the best experience. Like it was just, there was no part of me that wanted to be in it. I wanted to watch her and watch the movie, and like, if you have an amazing cast and you're there to sort of like, watch them do their thing, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to see it. I think it looks really fun. Rhiannon, why don't you tell us a little bit about the movie and just what we've seen the little promo, but tell us a little bit about that and your character.
So I play Abby Morgan. She is a ornithologist. I had to remember. So she, fascinated by birds, really like a science girl, never really goes out off the path, so to speak. And her boss instructs her that I'm nervous saying this in front of Lucie. Like, I'm scared she's going to be like, that's not it. That's not how
No, but remember when I told you it was an ornithologist? I was like, is it ornithologist? You're like,
yeah, you thought it was ornithologist.
Yeah. Anyways.
So
great, by the way.
Thank you. Please interject if I mess up. So then her boss tells her that for a certain project, she needs to head over into the wilderness. Where does she go?
Alaska.
She goes Alaska, right? She goes to Alaska.
I mean, Squamish.
She goes to Squamish / Alaska.
Yeah.
And it is there that she meets a tour guide who you may have seen in the trailer. His name is Dario Martin, and he and her set off on this.
Like,
sorry,
really hard on the eyes.
Oh yeah, very. Yeah, that's what I've seen in all the comments on YouTube. It's just like and fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then so he leads her on this journey to find eagles. And of course, along the way, they butt heads. These two don't really get along off the bat. And it's about learning and growing with each other and, discovering yourselves along this journey, which is sort of something that I think Abby never anticipated. It was really just about going, counting the eagles. But on this journey, she discovers so much more than she ever could have possibly imagined.
Oh, that sounds really good.
That's the best description of the movie I've ever.
Trust me on.
So, Rhiannon, you had been in the 27-hour day, and in You're Making Me Crazy, and other movies. And so I was just wondering, what was it like, sort of the different experience here being the lead, and just the callbacks and the other things that would go into being the lead? What was that whole experience like for you?
Well, I've actually done, they just haven't come out yet. I've done a couple leads for other productions. And what the way that this one differed so much was the environment that they were in. Usually, and we all love these movies. They're our bread and butter, but usually we're sort of, we're inside, we're baking, we know the Hallmark sort of method. But this one, on day one, the very first thing we were shooting was basically me climbing that rock wall. And it just felt, in no world did it feel like we were shooting a Hallmark movie, so to speak. It really felt like it just felt different. And the thing is, the crew was it was a small crew, which was awesome. And we were all together and we were all very much sort of living what we were shooting. And it created this very sort of immersive and also bonding experience that I haven't had on previous sets.
Mhm. Yeah, Lucie, so this film, you've got locations to scout, you have animals to deal with, you have everything else that you normally have in a movie, plus COVID to deal with.
Yeah.
What was that like, in balancing all these different things?
I mean, these movies are already pretty like challenging. You have, just like 14 days to make a feature film. And, especially when we had a lot of locations, Rhiannon was like nailed on the head. Our first day we shot like, I don't know, 4 scenes. And one of the scenes in general, you'd probably want a full day to shoot. Was when she was off the rock wall, which we actually had her climbing up. Like I have photos. We had her like climb up this rock face, and the rock face was this location that we found was like 20 minutes down a dirt road without any cell reception. Super beautiful. Like a bear swam by our set. Like we were literally in the middle of nowhere, a real like small baby bear. And so there was like, we couldn't even communicate with each other.
No. And even like where the crew was standing, all you guys were also on the cliff as well. Like you could barely stand 2 people next to each other. We were all on the face of a cliff, essentially.
It was the most like these locations I'd never filmed actor or as a director locations like this. We hand bombed equipment all the way up this like mountain, basically mountain.
It was.
It was like
it was far.
It was far. It was like a 20-minute hike up. And then the crew, like everyone's carrying heavy equipment. Like the camera equipment's really heavy. Like, just seeing everyone carrying stuff up this hill and carrying it all back down to shoot these scenes was just like, I think that's how we bonded so quickly. And everyone sort of like hands on deck. Nobody was, I think that's the beauty about having small crews, and the fact that, some of it is a little bit non-union. So you have people that are like, I can help you carry that. And they're like, okay, you can help me carry that. Like it was kind of a nice sort of like everyone carried something. And like, it was just like a really, really kind of family-like environment, which is my favorite thing about making these movies anyway, is that it feels like you're part of this family for this period of time, and you bond, especially when you're in the middle of the woods where, Rhiannon, half the time she had nowhere to go. She would just she'd just sit on set all day long. Like she had, the washrooms were like a 20-minute walk back to somewhere. Like we really were in the middle of nowhere. So it was kind of really immersive in that way.
And the same goes for Lucie. Like I never saw Lucie sit at any point. Like anytime we would of course have the monitor set up, but she stood the whole time. Never was it, and was like right in everything that we did. It really did. It felt like we were all in this together. It was awesome.
It was so fun.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Like,
I miss it.
I have to say, it was the funnest movie I've.
Same.
It was the most challenging location-wise, but the
Yeah.
most fun I've had shooting movies.
Well, Lucy and I kind of said, like, while we were shooting it, like every day I woke up and I was sad that it was one less day that we had to shoot. I loved it from start to finish. I miss it all the time.
Me too.
Was it challenging working with the bald eagles and other animals?
Well, I don't like birds. And so like it was to me, it was really, really scared about working with this eagle. Do you remember his name, the eagle handler?
Yeah. Hercules.
Well, no, Hercules is the
name was
eagle's name.
Oh, eagle. Oh, his handler.
Yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was so lovely. And this was like a rescue bird. And he and this bird had this beautiful bond, like nothing I have ever seen. And this bird just basically trusted him and followed his direction. And we were very lucky that this bird basically did everything we wanted it to do. And it was
so wild.
It was magical too. I never would have anticipated that I would have felt the way that I did when I saw this bird. There is something, and we kind of touch on this in the film. Ray goes into a bit of a story about, the indigenous ties to the eagle, and it's beautiful. I wish we could have even told more of that story, but there is something majestic that you feel when you are near an eagle. I can't really explain it.
It was so that how it was like the eagle, in order, you can't really have an eagle, but if what I was told was that if there's an eagle that's been injured and they've they're like, it's like a refuge for the eagle, then they can kind of nurse this eagle back into health, but they don't release them into the wild because they've been raised with a family, and I guess the bird gets attached to the family that raised them. And then, so Hercules, when he came, like Rhiannon was saying, he like almost saw his handler as his father.
Yeah.
It was like a pretty wild thing.
It was beautiful.
A wild animal, and their wingspan is like, so like it's a giant bird like it's the size, like your height basically flying by your head. It's like really wild.
Yeah.
That part was pretty magical.
It really was. And there was so much on the line on that day. Like, this is what our whole movie, it's a very important character and part of our movie. And we just got so lucky. The bird stuff just worked. It was awesome. It was like, it was meant to be.
That bird was, the bird.
I guess you don't give the bird the name Hercules unless it's going to be pretty great.
Hercules did have an appetite for a vegan burger.
Oh, for my burger. Yeah.
Hercules went off the rail a little bit. They had like dead animal to feed it. I don't know what eagles eat, but it would look like a rodent, which is a little scary and gross.
Yeah.
That's what eagles eat. And it went right for Rhiannon's like vegan burger.
My vegan meal,
That's funny.
She wasn't going to eat in the scene. She's like, I don't think I'm going to eat in the scene. And then the bird in the middle of our take flew in and ate her burger. So then she's like, oh, great. Now I have to eat in every scene because the burger was like gone.
That's really funny. I wish they kept that in the movie.
I wish.
Well, we never know. It might be there.
Maybe. I never know either. So actually, it might be.
So you mentioned Ray, Ray Thunderchild, and I was curious about the sort of casting and the efforts in the film to highlight the Native American characters and what that was like.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce wrote the story, and it was based on somebody he had met and somebody that came into his life. So I think he really he was really drawn to the, I mean, I'm not going to quote him, but I guess the part of the story is part of the journey of the main character is her own personal journey. And also along the way, studying the eagles, and that eagles have this magical sort of, presence or power. Like the eagles are the bird that flies closest to, the idea is closest to the creator. The bird that flies the highest. So it has a lot of like sort of special meanings and values depending who you talk to and depending, who's telling what story. But we definitely, when I read the story, I'd never seen anything in like a Hallmark movie with with Indigenous characters, and it was really special and magical. One of my first jobs ever was working for APTN, which was my first lead on a TV show was for the Aboriginal People Television here. And I was like, I've never seen this in a Hallmark. This is amazing. And I worked with Ray in this TV show. So I thought of him when we were casting this. And then also we had a brilliant, wonderful Indigenous script consultant who worked with us and worked with the story and the script. And we worked kind of closely with her and all the characters, that Indigenous characters in the story, basically to make it special and also feel like everyone had their own sort of input and voice into those.
Totally. That's what I was going to say. Lucie was so great with that, where she really listened to what Grace wanted to say and what Ray wanted to say, and let them tell, because essentially it's the story of their people, and let them express that element of storytelling however they wanted to. And I hope it came out very, very beautiful. I loved it. It was one of my favorite things to shoot, was listening to those actors talk about, or to tell these stories. They're magic. And sort of, again, like Lucie said, I don't really see much of it certainly in Hallmark. So I think it was really cool that Hallmark gave us, a platform to be able to tell some of these stories.
I think the most important thing is that, like, this, at the core of this story, it's like, it is a romance story. It's a movie. It's a story about two characters falling in love, and it's just the supporting characters that they meet along the way support their journey. And the fact that, like, anybody you run into has different, it's nice to see a whole different, like, people that you run into reflect the world that we live in.
Totally.
And in no way, like, if this was sort of like an Indigenous story, I don't feel like I'd be the right a director to direct it, because I feel like it would be better to have an Indigenous director direct the story. But the fact that it was like a romance with some beautiful supporting characters that also had a whole rich world and information that they can bring forward. It just added enough nice element to it. Like we meet so many people in the world, we live with so many people in the world, and it's just nice to hear different stories told in different ways. And
totally.
So I think you should definitely have Grace on your podcast, Grace Dove. And
Grace is wonderful. Yeah. And Paul, yeah.
And Paul and Ray, like Grace, Grace is she's a very talented actress. She and so is Paul. They were like a perfect couple. And they're almost like a reflection of where Abby and Eric's character could end up in the future. They were this, like, they were like this, like, she played almost like the best friend kind of role in these kind of movies. And she was just so lovely. It's hard to take your eyes off her. She's just, she's gorgeous. And I don't know, she's just so captivating and wonderful.
Truly.
So I'm just so happy for you to watch her in this movie. I hope you fall in love with her as much as I did watching her work. She's wonderful.
So Rhiannon, you mentioned working with Darian Martin.
Yes.
And so what was that like? Did you guys do anything to kind of help your chemistry to have a chemistry? I know sometimes they have, like, you have dinner together or something like that to try to kind of build that.
Well, Darian
and that does it.
Darian and I had actually just shot another MOW together where he played my boyfriend. He was more like the bad guy in it, though. But so we knew each other, which was awesome. So as soon as Lucie and I spoke on the phone for the first time, she let me know it was Darian, and I was like, "Yeah, that's great. We've already worked together before." So coming into it, we already had this level of sort of chemistry between the two of us. And then, sort of like I said, it was the kind of movie where you all just bonded very, very quickly.
Yeah, and you said this was all filmed in BC?
Mostly in Squamish, right, Lucie?
Yeah, mostly in Squamish, and then some other parts of. I want to say, I don't know. Actually, I was gonna say,
I didn't know.
Like, I don't know if I was like, I actually can't remember where. Like, is it Maple Ridge? I mean, I don't even know. I know how. Once I get out of Vancouver, I'm a little disoriented.
Yeah, same.
It looks beautiful. It looked like you did a pretty good job capturing Alaska. I mean, I've never been to Alaska. So.
Yeah, I know. That's what we're kind of maybe banking on. Does anyone know what Alaska looks like? I mean, I bought it when I watched some of the movie. I was like, it looks like Alaska to me.
I think that there's some definite similarities. I mean, you know, sort of like as far as like the nature is similar. I mean, we probably had, I don't think there's snow in the summer, so I think we're fine.
Oh yeah.
Pretty similar.
Right.
From the photos that I saw. I mean, I haven't lived in Alaska either, but the stock photos, like everything that I saw kind of was Squamish was very close in nature, in beauty, you know.
Well, we're very excited about the movie, but we have some fun, silly questions that we like to end our interview. Here we go. What is the best ice cream flavor?
Vegan. Anything vegan.
Chip mint, vegan chocolate chip mint. What was yours?
I just said anything vegan. We're both vegan. Yeah.
Are you both vegan?
Yeah.
That's nice. That helps craft services.
It really does. And our
actually.
DOP was vegan too. Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay. What is your favorite color?
Black.
Green.
Ah,
Okay.
nice.
Green is very on brand, so that's good.
Yes.
Okay. What music are you into right now?
I like musical theater.
Oh, me too.
I know, I could tell.
There's a lot of like sad songs, which I don't know what that
Lucy.
is about me, but like really sad songs.
Yeah. There you go. You like those like tragic Tori Amos, like yeah. There
Tragic.
you go. Okay. What is your go-to date night food? We know it's vegan.
Pizza.
But pizza.
Ooh, that's good. Pizza is like really up there. I can't copy all of Rhiannon's answers. I really like her pizza. I want to be like exactly like her. She's
Same.
okay, I would say I don't know. I like date night food. I'd say like maybe Mexican, like tacos,
Oh, good one.
or something like that. So you can have a margarita with it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a good thing. I don't think Rhiannon, you had to do any of the cooking on You're Baking Me Crazy.
No. Oh, no. Yeah. And they made me, and I'm sure Lucy's the same too. Like we often have to eat in these movies, and craft services is so nice, and props. They'll make sure that what we have is always like a mock meat.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I love that I can have that sort of input, because honestly, a lot of this stuff gets thrown away. And I'm not saying like people can, like, I'm not, judging anybody for what that makes them feel good when they're eating, but
no, you're right.
Especially in film, like all this food just gets thrown in the garbage, and it's just like, oh man, all these animals just like had to die to be thrown in the garbage. So I'm always like, it's fine to eat meat, but like, sometimes I like, can we like put some more, stuff you wouldn't even know it looks like meat, so you can make it fake looking like
exactly
meat. At least when it gets thrown in the garbage, like, oh, it's just a plant anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, I loved that.
All right. Which do you prefer, dogs or cats?
Cats.
Dogs.
Ooh.
Okay. Beaches or mountains?
Mountains.
I think we should answer at the same time always.
Great.
Like whatever
Lucy.
she says.
What's yours? Beaches or mountains? You seem beachy. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That goes with the movie.
It also,
All right. Would you rather be in a fancy dress or sweats?
Sweats.
But
I feel like we're all kind of moving away from sweats, though. We've been in sweats for 2 years.
I don't want to move away. I don't want it.
Don't want to.
I don't want
to
it.
embrace it.
Yeah.
I think maybe Rhiannon and I might watch the movie together. We are. And I think maybe I won't wear sweats.
No, it was really, should I say this? Like I was surprised when I saw Lucy once we'd finished filming, and she was like, yeah, no, I don't normally look like that.
I look 100 when I'm watching. And then as soon as I stop, I do like 1,000 facials and I like sleep.
Yeah, you were unrecognizable once we finished. I didn't recognize you at all.
It's true. It's true. In fact, I look 100, and somebody tried to hook me up with their grandfather. That's how old I look.
I don't think you'd say that.
We all wear the stress differently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm
All
fine with it, because I know I'll bounce back.
What is your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Christmas,
I think.
Yeah. It's the only one that's a whole season, not just, especially in Hallmark. It's like 3 months.
My friend Lily like celebrates it all year round. So I just feel like I just watch her page and then I'm
cute. Yeah.
She loves it.
All right. Last question. What is your favorite Hallmark or romantic movie?
This one.
Can we say our own movies?
Yeah, you can say your
Of
own.
course we can. It is my favorite, and I'm a Hallmark stan. I love Hallmark movies. This one,
Yeah.
this is the best one.
It's my
Wow.
favorite.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
good. We're excited.
My favorite.
Yay.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for coming and talking with us. This was great. We'll definitely have to have you both back again. Do you have social media that you all want to share?
Yeah,
I'm on Instagram, just my name.
me
Okay.
too. Just my name. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
on Twitter like a little bit, but I'll try and tweet
While we're watching it, yeah, that'll be
while
fun.
we're watching it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll put all that info in the description. I think we're going to air this the day of the movie. So
Yay.
y'all want to check that out. And make sure that you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. If you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up. We sure appreciate that. And subscribe to our channel. We also have our merch store and our patron group, which are a lot of fun.
Nice.
And thanks again, ladies. This was great. And yeah, we'll definitely be in touch, and good luck in the movie. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.